All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the New Breed podcast. We're not the world's first. We're not the only, but we are definitely the best podcast focusing solely on the topic of new metal. I am your host, Jake.
That is correct.
We'll get that aggressive this early. I am one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have the man on the other side of the internet, Mr. Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, how are you?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I am fantastic. Let's dive in. So this episode, we're going to do another album deep dive. And this week's one, to me, and it's going to come out to be an interesting conversation with Tim, we're doing the Deftones, and we're doing Adrenaline. Yes, Tim? Is that how you say it?
Yes.
I want to keep saying Adrenaline, and I don't know why. I probably heard it mispronounced on some interview somewhere and got lost.
You know, you were saying that a few times when we were doing this before, like the first couple, and I was just like, oh, I'm just going to let them go.
And I could have sworn I heard it pronounced by somebody somewhere. I don't know. I'll look it up, whatever. So
hey, I might be wrong. Who knows?
So let's start with you. Usually give a little bit of background on the history of the album. Let's do that, and then we're going to go into first impressions, and then we'll walk through the songs themselves.
All right, so we'll just start off. Everybody knows by now this is my favorite band, so I'm going to be very biased on this episode. I'm probably going to disagree with a lot of what you say, because I know your feelings on this one. But hey, this is the whole point of the show, so that's what we're going to do.
Yep, let's have some quasi-intelligent discourse.
All right, so album facts. I have a little thing written down here. Obviously, it's their debut record. In my opinion, it's one of the best debuts of all time. It's just, it hits on all cylinders, man. And before you ask, it holds up. It does. Released October 3rd, 95 through Maverick Records, which is crazy to me till this day. I mean, that's Madonna's label, right?
Wasn't there some funky story, Tim, where she personally signed them, requested that they come on to Maverick?
She drove up to their practice studio and got out of a limo and signed them.
Could you imagine? Like me and you practicing somewhere in the bowels of Philly, and all of a sudden, I don't know, who could walk through the door? I don't know, some Eric Rutan from Hate Eternal walks in, and he goes, "Hey guys, I want to sign you." What the fuck, right?
That's crazy, right? Madonna walks in, the Deftones are practicing. It's hilarious, man.
That's nuts.
It's great. It was engineered, mixed, produced by Terry Date, and also the hidden track "Fist" was produced by Ross Robinson. Also, you had, or is it Ulrich Wild or Ulrich?
I want to say it's Ulrich.
I think it's Ulrich. He also helped with the engineering, so you had them two in there. It was recorded at Terry Date's Bad Animal Studios in Seattle, Washington. When they were recording, so they asked influence-wise on it, and they said the Bad Brains were a huge influence for this, and I can't stand
hear
that band, dude.
But I don't hear it
at all.
I don't hear it.
I think it was more in the fashion because back then they all had dreads and stuff, except for Abe and stuff. But them three had dreads and they all had the long hair and all that stuff. So it was said by Abe Cunningham. He said at the time we did the first record, which he really thinks is good. You can tell the band was really young. They were playing most of the songs for quite a while and were happy to make a record. So they didn't really what he basically is saying is they didn't really put too much into the songs. They just thought they were good enough. So they recorded it really fast. And the cool thing about the recording on this is they just gave Chino a handheld SM50. You know what an SM58 is, right?
Yeah.
He just recorded out of that in a live situation, which is pretty cool to me because it makes the record even more because it sounds like it's a live record. And now you just know that it is, which is really cool. So it pretty much gives me an even better vibe on it. So basically, touring on this record, people had no clue what to think of it. I mean, dude, they played with their first tour was with Monster Magnet.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. And then Sugar Ray opened up the show. So it was Sugar Ray, Deftones, Monster Magnet. And Chino said there was always 6 people at the shows, and they got constantly booed until Monster went on. But they also said that Sugar Ray got booed off the stage almost every show.
So they did a little marginally better.
Yeah. The crazy part was they went out with Kiss in an arena tour right after. So they went from 6 people to an arena tour with Kiss.
That is fucking bonkers.
It's outrageous, dude. And they said they got booed even more on there. People were throwing batteries at them, and They had like the little Kiss people in the front, like dressed up, and they were just like going like this the whole time and like this and shit. Dude, so many good interviews on this record, man.
Have you ever been to a show, Tim, where you've seen people like actively booing the opener?
No, I've been to a million shows. I've never seen people boo.
Same thing. Ditto.
Never.
I have never seen someone boo the opener.
Never. I mean, I've missed quite a lot of openers, so maybe I've missed it, but I've never seen anyone boo a band.
Yeah.
You know, actually, I seen someone boo Suicide Silence for something he said on stage, but they weren't booing the band.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't really count that. So the album was initially unsuccessful, and so after extensive touring and word-of-mouth promotion, they built a huge fan base, and they eventually sold 220,000 of it that first year, which is pretty good. And then in July of 99, it went gold. And then of 2008, it went platinum.
How'd you find these guys, Tim?
Deftones?
Yeah.
One of my buddies was playing the CD one day, and I was like, who is this? And he told me. I just fell in love ever since. I don't remember who told him who it was, though. But I remember that thing on the cover, and I'm going to do it now because it's funny. Like, I have the CD right here. And I don't know if you can see it like in the camera, but I've played this CD so many times. It's literally yellow. Like, I don't look. Can you see right here?
Yep, I can see that. Yep.
Dude, it's yellow. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, the disc is all like
shredded. Yep.
Shredded. Oh, dude. But this is an original pressing right here. I got this as soon as I heard this. I went out and bought this. I think at the Wall or some shit like that.
I think my experience was the same. I honestly think my brother found these guys, and I would love to say it's from the Korn self-titled liner notes, but my brother, when I was at college, he was way more he spent a lot more time like researching music, right? Because he was going to record stores and whatever. And I remember him telling me about this band, and I picked it up, and we'll get into that when you're done with the history. But my initial thoughts, what the CD sounded like when I took it home, and even now, 20-something years later upon reflection, different views.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine. A lot of people have way different views and nowadays on it. And a lot of the times it's bad,
I mean, so let's go in. So, knowing what we know about the Deftones now, right? Knowing the career that they built. I will argue, Tim, maybe this is a topic of another episode. I think White Pony is probably the best album they've ever done. That's my personal opinion.
It's so hard for me because it is my favorite record by them, but then I think the self-titled is I don't know. It's like so hard.
That's great. I love Saturday Night Wrist. I think there's some good songs on that. But long story short, so when I listened to this album, what I came away with is this is proto-Deftones.
Yeah, yes,
in the sense that all the things that come into play later in their sound show up on this album. But like when Abe, you read that Abe quote where he says they were very young. You could tell it's obviously a very immature band.
Yes.
The Abe's presence as a drummer, it shines through in certain songs, it doesn't in others. Stefan's riffing is apparent throughout.
It's very I can't think of the word right now, and I hate when this happens. It always happens when we're live. He does a lot of the same riffing in this record.
Yes. The derogatory term would be repetitive. It's not repetitive.
Yes. It's repetitive riffing.
He has the same tone in every song except the last one, which we're going to talk about, because that was the Ross Robinson one.
And I have a good thing for that, too. I'm glad you said that.
Fantastic. And I do think that Cheese bass is buried. It's not as prevalent in the mix as I personally would have liked. And the only reason I bring that up is because after listening to this album, I went down a rabbit hole and I downloaded a bazillion Deftones bootlegs. And I picked up the one which was Drunken Wald Rock, which is apparently the most drunk they've ever been in a show. And Chino was wasted. Just his stage banner was completely insane. But the bass mix is very high up. So you can really hear what she plays. And to me, it was a totally different experience contrasting with this album because you can actually hear the notes he's hitting. But I think with this album, I think Chino's love of Depeche Mode and Sade really come out, right? Like, and I'll be honest with you, Tim. So can I go in? Do you mind if I go in?
Oh, absolutely.
So the first time I listened to this album, I was like, what the fuck? I remember that. what the fuck, because it was so uniquely different than anything else out there. The vocals, the contrast, how they go loud and soft at times where you don't necessarily understand, the crunchy, almost cutting guitar tone. It was completely weird. And then when we looped back and we decided we were going to do this episode, I started to listen to the album again. The first time I listened to this album, I absolutely hated it. In the last week or so, I was like, every fucking song sounds the same. That was my gut. Every song sounds the same. And then I listened to it again, and I listened to it again, and that's where I started to pick up, okay, now I see the genetic material of where Stefan goes with his riffing. I can see some of the quasi-fills or some of the bridges where you can tell that Abe Cunningham has a tremendous sense of time, and he gets in the pocket.
Yes.
And then you can hear, like, the Chino vocals, which are, he's notoriously all over the place. You can hear where what they're doing on this album feeds into stuff they did later. And I was like, I was really like, the more I listened to it, the more I went, to your point, this really is an amazing debut album, because it not only did it establish them as something not the same but different but the same, if you will.
Yeah.
It also sowed the seeds of what they were going to become.
And the one thing that I'm gonna say a lot during this episode is that Chi is a huge part of this band on the records he was on, and you will notice when you listen to the records he's not on how much of an influence he had on this band.
I didn't get that far in my catalog dive, but now I want to keep going. What's the first album he's not on? Is it Diamond Eyes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm pretty sure. Was he on Saturday? I think he was on Saturday Night Wrist.
I think he was on Saturday Night Wrist. But the other remark I have here, Tim, I'm going to ask you flat out. Can anyone fucking understand Chino's lyrics?
It gets a little bit better.
So I'll tell you this anecdote. I went and saw, don't hate me, Aaron Lewis from Stained.
Yep.
Remember before he did his country thing, he would do a solo acoustic tour.
Yeah.
Where he would come and people would literally yell from the audience, play Black by Pearl Jam, and he would play it. And at one point, he starts playing Be Quiet and Drive. And he stops and he goes, I would finish this song if anybody could tell me what the fuck Chino is singing. And that always sticks in my memory because, I mean, when you read the lyric sheet, he obviously has some lyrics. But on this first album, I won't say he's unintelligible, but the lyrics aren't as impressive as the range that he displays.
And they don't make sense when you read the lyrics. It's like, wait a minute, is that what he's really saying? I get exactly what you're saying, though, because I've done the same thing over the years. Like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like what he's shouting on there. But you're 110% correct with that.
Nobody can understand it. I swear by it.
It's funny, man, that like a lot of artists are like that, though, and you don't really notice it until you actually sit there and go, wait a minute, what the hell did he say?
Yeah,
but I don't have a problem with it because,
Oh, no. It fits the milieu of the music.
Yeah, definitely. There's another couple things I wanted to read here real quick.
Sure.
There's this guy, this critic, his name's Tim Curran. He wrote a 20th anniversary assessment on this record, and and I really like what he said here. He goes, for those who were swept up in the nu metal movement, Adrenaline was a landmark, life-changing release, and I fully agree with that. That record changed my life. Ever since then, it was just Deftones forever for me. Like, if there's anything, if I can't think of something to listen to, I automatically put Shuffle on my iTunes of them because it always hits me so good, man. This is just the most feel good band ever, and this is like one of the most exciting episodes for me here. And he also called them a post-hardcore band, and I agree with that.
Yes, this is way more post-hardcore, and/or that I won't say grunge, but that alternative rock, than nu metal, right? Exactly. It is way more post-hardcore than nu metal, and I think if you replace Chino with, say, a Jonathan Davis, or even a Zach De La Rocha, then it falls solidly in the nu metal category.
Yes.
But the fact that he has those dynamic vocals, he has the what my buddy's mom called strangled cat vocals, where he goes, that noise he makes, right? He goes from that to the rapping to the actual crooning. Like, Chino can sing. And we know
Yes.
that as evidenced by some of his side projects. And even some of the stuff like Digital Bath and some of their later songs, that's what really makes them it's what caught my ear. The vocals were so, for lack of a better term, bizarre at the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you can hear it in Adrenaline perfectly. And back to Digital Bath, that song is perfection.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect song. The range in it is great. The music in it is great. It's just that record is just fucking amazing.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant in so many ways. And while we're on the topic, to think the record label did not like the song, what is it? Back to School.
Yeah.
Mini Maggot. They did not like it. So they left it off the album. And then the Deftones released it as the first video off the album. And it went nuts on MTV. So they did the re-release of the album with that song as the first track.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Note to record labels, which are now a slowly dying breed, listen to your fucking artists. They know what they're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. You Mr. Know-It-All didn't know shit.
Yep.
It's funny, man. I also have some first thoughts on here. Like, I'll just go through them very quickly. I already said this is my favorite band. I already said perfect record front to back. But and we kind of went into this. I wrote on here, is this a new metal record? ? I don't really consider it a new metal record.
It shares some of the DNA, but with Around the Fur and every album after, they establish themselves. They're actually carving their own lane. Yeah. Even if you want to still lump them in the new metal crowd, I think they transcend the label new metal, because when new metal officially dies, I know we have a show talking about what killed new metal coming up. New metal dies, and it's 10, 20 years on, and they're still going.
Yeah.
So they obviously have legs, and they're doing something unique and different.
And another reason I don't consider it a new metal record, really, I mean, if you're going to consider any record of theirs new metal, we'll just go with this, but I don't really consider it a new metal record. I mean, now I forget what I was going to say about that, actually. So
Sorry.
let me just, no, it's fine. Let me go into this one next, because I don't want to sound like an idiot, because I totally just had a brain fart on that one. My next thing was, were they as big as Korn at the beginning, you think? If you put on the Korn self-titled and this and think of the same time frame, were they just as big?
No.
Nah, I don't think so either.
No, and here's why I will use something what I think is arithmetic as opposed to anecdotal. So Korn goes out with Ozzy, and they go out with a couple other bands. You know, the Deftones go out with Monster Magnet, and they go out with, weren't they opening for, was it Pantera and Rob Zombie, or Pantera White Zombie? Yes, they opened Pantera White Zombie. Yes. When this and I'm going to use this as the measuring stick. Second album tour cycle. Korn's second album, they played the Electric Factory in Philly, which is what, like a 3,000 cap?
Around there.
Deftones' second album, they played the TLA, which is about 1,500 cap.
Yeah.
So they're on different levels. However, I would think that Deftones have a longer, better career than Korn does, because Korn, had fits and starts. Some of the later albums really fall off, where Deftones, if anything, in terms of quality, every album gets a little bit better and a little bit different.
Yes. I mean, we can talk about Gore and it being a low-end career record for them, in my opinion, and in most people's opinions. If you think it's a low-end record for them, it
did not do well for them. It was very, I won't say weird. It was very unique in a Deftones way. I've gone back, and there's some good songs on it.
The first 5 songs are amazing.
Something
on that record.
User, where it's the wow, the wow, like where he goes down the fretboard. Like
Doomed
there's some
User.
Yeah. There's some good songs, but it's not. It just didn't click. It didn't click like the. It came out, I think, Tim, keep me honest, around the same time as the Glassjaw comeback record, and that clicked a lot better to me.
That's a great record.
Yeah.
The first half of Gore is amazingly good. The second half is shit, and that's what I'm sticking by. Prayers or Heart's Wires is one of the best Deftones songs ever written.
Yes.
That song is absolutely fucking amazing. Prayers Triangles is absolutely amazing. So, I mean, there's really good songs on there that are Deftones songs, but the last 5 are not Deftones songs in my eyes. They're just they're Chino side project songs, man.
Yeah, maybe they had trouble in the studio or whatever. So what other notes do you have here, Tim?
Also, do you think they were a big influence, or were they as big as an influence as Korn or Limp Bizkit to a lot of the bands in the nu metal genre, do you think, after that? Or do you think
Um,
Korn basically stole that?
well, it's hard to tell. Well, I can't say no outright, and here's why. Korn was influential in their sound, and there were tons of bands that came out that ripped off Korn, right? Limp Bizkit, same thing. There were tons of bands that came out that had the turntable guy, that had the rap guy, blah, 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 blah. Whereas the Deftones had a very, because of their lineage and the music that they draw influence from, they had a very different set of influences, right? Like,
Yeah.
you could argue that the crooning vocals of the Deftones influenced the guy from 36 Crazy Fists. Like, you could argue that, right? Now, if you're a first wave band influencing a third wave band, there's not going to be longevity, the same longevity as if you're a first wave band influencing a second wave band who influences a third wave band. So, by my screwy half drunk logic, I will say that I don't think the Deftones were as influential, but again, their career speaks for itself. They're still touring. They're still going. They have another album that they just announced today that they booked it. It's done. It's probably going to see a fall release.
Who, Deftones did?
Yes. They announced it's going to be this fall.
Oh, you just made my night, buddy.
Yeah.
I didn't see that today.
I saw a Lambgoat post where they said that the recording is done. They're eyeing a late fall delivery.
Oh, God, yeah. I hope the summer goes by so quick.
Well, I think it will. We're not going to be able to leave the fucking house.
Oh, yeah, with the stuff rising, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, let's get the rest of these out of the way so we don't have a 3-hour-long one. I also wrote, this is we don't have to go back and say, did it hold up? Because it did. I never stopped listening to it, so it always holds up. Like I said before, life-changing record. Is this a landmark record in your opinion?
Yes, I would put this in the same bucket as the stuff that came out at the time. This is the same as Korn. This is the same as Limp Bizkit. Like, those three could really be the holy trinity of nu metal. However, they all went in separate directions. Mm-hmm. They all went in completely diverse directions. And this coming from a guy who this week was looking for Limp Bizkit merch on the internet. So I know.
I also think Abe is an absolute machine on this record. He is one of the best groove drummers in this genre, in the rock genre. I'm just going to say rock genre. He's one of the best drummers. They would be nothing without him. I'm sorry.
He holds down their beats amazing. So funnily enough, taking the conversation back, whenever I think about him as a drummer, I remember seeing this tour at the Tower when they toured off the White Pony and watching Abe the whole time when they played Digital Bath. Because, there's the snap of the snare, and then he does a roll on the hi-hat, and just being amazed at how completely like a metronome he was. He hit every single note at the right time. It was perfect.
Yeah, he's an absolute monster on the drums, and if he ever leaves the band, you might as well just say bye-bye, because you're nothing without him. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Is that the cool thing to say now?
They would need, like, Ken Schalk or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's about the only drummer I could think of. That's a very good point.
But then again, every band that would lose their drummer and needs a Ken Schalk as a replacement, that guy he'd have to clone himself like 40 times.
Exactly. This whole record was recorded in standard tuning, and I find that to be very impressive for how heavy it is.
Yes. I thought that was really fascinating. And we're going to go into, when we go into the songs, I have some notes here about the guitar stuff where this is just standard tune fucking music that really fucking is heavy.
This is the same tuning Green Day used for Dookie. Like, come on, dude.
Right?
Like, it's crazy. Like, if you're a good guitar player, what you can get at, you don't need to tune down to have heavy. And that's what a lot of people don't realize these days. Like, people start bands and they automatically go, well, of course we need a 7-string tuned down to fucking negative or whatever.
Q, negative Q.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, you don't need that because it sounds like shit, man. I always impressed when a band this young can put out a record this solid. Like, when you're 17 years old and you can put a record out this solid, that is impressive to me. And I'll never stop being impressed by bands that do that. And I can think of a band in, like, the metal genre. See, now I can't think of their name. They were an old Tribunal band. Evan Brewer played bass in there.
Reflux.
Reflux. Then his other band, Animosity. Them
Mm-hmm.
dudes were like 16. That is one of the most crushing records I've ever heard.
Yeah, for young kids, yeah, it's heavy.
Like I said, Madonna personally signed him. I think that's absolutely wild. Also, before this, they had a demo in 1990, 91, 92, and they put out a 13-song demo in 93 called Like Linus, which actually has really cool songs on. There's some reggae stuff on there and all that stuff. Also, I want to talk about that song Teething, because I think that's one of their best songs ever.
I will go to my grave saying the two best Deftones songs are Teething and Can't Hardly Breathe.
Yeah, you're right. And well, Can't Hardly Breathe was on
Escape from LA.
You're okay. There you go. You're right. Also, I used to think that I wish this record was recorded better, but now I appreciate the recording more these days. The more I listen to it, I think if it was a better recording, it would take away from the grittiness and the time frame of it. So we can get into song by song now.
All right, let's go in. So the album opener, title track, everybody knows this song. At 4 minutes and 6 seconds, the song Bored. So, Tim, this sets the tone for the entire album. However, I personally think this is an interesting song to choose as an opener because it's very slow and almost methodical. And, you have that fucking guitar intro. Right, any guitarist goes in a fucking Guitar Center and starts jamming out in this song, everybody's ears are going to perk up, right? Because you just know it. But I also think it might be a very unique choice for an opener because it's very mid-paced.
Yeah.
Right? Like the song it does, and we're going to get into this in some of the later tracks, and some of my initial notions around the band where they don't go fast, they don't go slow. It's very middle of the road. And
it's mid-tempo for sure.
My ear, I don't particularly like middle of the road. So for me, it was kind of weird.
No, I think this is one of the most iconic intro songs ever because you have this with the guitar in the beginning, and then you have Korn's Blind with that guitar.
Yep.
So it might have been, well, this record came out after Korn, yes. So
yes,
it might have been them thinking, hey, we put the real iconic song in the beginning like Korn did. It because Ross maybe had something to do with that.
Maybe. I also think as an opener, this is your ear's first exposure to Chino and his way of singing.
Yep.
Which is, again, very unique and very different. I mean, he's half whispering, half crooning into the microphone, and then he hits like those high sustain notes, which you weren't hearing in nu metal at that point. Yep. It was old Jonathan Davis going, right? And then the Fred Durst rapping. So you have a guy here who cites Sade as one of his biggest influences, hitting these, and I call it out in some of the later songs, these sustained high notes where it's completely, to the heaviness of the guitar, it's almost incongruent. Like it doesn't make sense, but it does, if that makes sense.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. I had written down on here, like, who doesn't know this song? If you think Deftones, you think Bored, right?
If you pick up a guitar in any room with a bunch of metalheads and start playing the riff, everybody's going to pick up and look because they all know it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, if you go in the Guitar Center and around when this came out, everybody was playing by Korn, or they were playing this, and everybody, you know what I mean? This is one of them songs. I mean, this is the song that the person showed me because they put the record on, and this was the opener, obviously, and this is the song that caught me. I mean, it's Chino, and like you said, Chino fucking kills it on this song, man. Yeah. Just the range, like you said, that he goes from, it's just fucking amazing, dude. And this goes to show so many bands try to be this band, but they just can't because they don't have Chino.
Deftones are one of those bands that they're like Meshuggah in the sense that they always stay one step ahead of all the bands that are copying them. They stay one step ahead. And so a slight aside, Tim, you held up the cover before. That was another one of the things that jumped out at me, right? Here's a band playing nu metal, post-rock, post-hardcore, what have you. It's this almost childish font on the album. Yep. And you have the snot sucker on the cover, right? The thing that you suck the snot out of the baby's nose with.
I thought that was a seashell for the longest
time. When I bought it, I was like, what the fuck am I going to hear? Like, what is this going to sound like, And then it just blew. And again, we open with this, and it blows your mind.
Yeah. I thought that was a seashell for the longest time when I was younger. It's like, why the fuck did they have that on there? And then when I figured out what it was, I was like, that's even more weird.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you see the video for this song?
I think I did.
It's a pretty good video, actually. Like they're just jamming for people in like some weird room, and it's a good vibe. It's definitely a '90s video.
Okay.
And I will say though, Chino was very skinny in that video, and it always brings me back to your buddy saying that we should do an episode about his weight fluctuations on all the records. That shit is fucking hilarious to me.
But I guarantee you there's some tie in there, right? As
Oh,
someone who has
absolutely.
gained weight, lost weight, and gained weight, it affects your psyche, it affects your mental state, and I guarantee you it affects the albums.
Yeah.
We'll invest. Well, Dan Pitts, shout out. We're gonna line you up to do some homework for us, and then we'll figure that one out and do that episode.
And my last thing I have written down here is Abe is the best musician in this band, and you could hear it right from the jump in this song.
Yeah.
He's just that good.
Yeah.
So shout out to him, man. I would love to get him on and beat his ear about drumming and all that stuff.
Oh, he's really, really, really impressive. So track 2 at 4 minutes and 4 seconds, minus Blindfold. First thoughts, Tim?
Love the intro of this song, especially the ride cymbal roll stuff in the beginning. And then that intro to the riff. I love this song. It's one of them songs to get your head bobbing instantly. Like I said, the drumming, really good on this. I mean, he's just a one-of-a-kind drummer, and I'm going to keep saying this through these songs, man. Chi has really great backup screaming in this song. He's such a valuable piece of this band, man.
Yeah.
And I wish people realize that, man. When he died, that was a huge hit for this band, man.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Sergio is good. He's just not a Chi, man. He's not Chi at all. He doesn't come close to it. Just an all-around fun song. Especially love the bridge part with the muting guitars. And then, if you ask me, the ending part of the song is as new metal as this record gets. It just has that new metal riffing to it, and that's where people get the new metal vibe off of it. It's songs like this. So, what do you think?
So for me, the first note I have here is that omnipresent guitar tone, right?
Yep.
Like Stefan's guitar tone does not change throughout the entire album. I have a note here about how the squeals and the squeaks that he does on the fretboard, this is their first major appearance where, and again, it permeates the rest of the album, but this is where they first show up. This is the first appearance of Chino doing a little bit of rapping. So his cadence comes out more of like a rap as opposed to a singing or a speaking. And this is also the first appearance of, again, shout out to Chris Guzzi, the Chino strangled cat vocals, like weird noises that he makes. Which, again, first time you hear the sound, you're like, well, what the fuck is this guy doing? But it fits the music.
It does. It fits it very well. It's a very onslaught song. Like it just grabs you real quick.
So after this song, Tim, we move into 1 week. Track number 3, 4 minutes and 29 seconds. For me, this is where I started going, is the whole fucking album going to be slow?
Yeah.
Because it's a slow, plodding bass intro. Chino is whispering into the microphone. And at that point, I'm starting to wonder. I remember the first time I listened to this album, I'm starting to wonder, like, is the whole album going to be this mid-paced slow stuff? Which, in hindsight, we know that it goes in a completely different direction in the second half. Again, I'm a side B guy. I think the second half songs are better than the first half songs. But at the time, I was going, are they going to pick up speed at all? That was my thought.
Yeah, this song is where Chi has. I see. I'm going to keep going back to Chi, man. He just added such a good element to this song with them bass lines, man. I'm just going to keep saying it so people listen and get used to it. I'm sorry. This is one of them songs I wish I heard more of in the later days, because this is one of them songs I kind of skipped a little bit, and I wish I didn't, because the groove in this song is just top notch, man. It is mid pace, and I get what you're saying, but there's so much of a good groove in this.
Yeah.
The chorus riffing is just unbelievably good. It's great lyrics in this song too. He definitely pulled out all the punches on this one.
Yeah, lyrics, forget it. I didn't even dive into Chino's lyrics. I was like, I'm not ready to do this yet. Maybe for Around the Fur and when we go further in. So
I can't wait to do Around the Fur.
Not a bad song. But then we go into track number 4, Nosebleed. 4 minutes, 25 seconds. This, for me, is where the album tips in the sense of this is the first song that they open with some semblance of speed.
Yep.
Right? And it's not speed in the sense that they're going fast. It's speed in the sense that the tempo is a bit rushed. You hear Stefan, Chi, and Abe all coming in at speed, and then Chino comes in right behind them. this is one of the songs for me where Chino really leans into that loud, soft vocal contrast where he goes both. And he does that in every song, but for this song, for me, it stuck out a lot. And again, the cat vocals add more than they take away from the song.
Absolutely. This is the best song on the record, in my opinion.
You think?
Good intro. Best song on the record. Great, more great backups from Chi. I love all the harmonics in this song. The chorus is fucking amazing in this song. I wish this was in their live set more. I've seen them play it once or twice, but this is a song I feel like should be a staple. And it's really not. They don't really play too much of these songs. Except for
Bored and Engine Number 9, usually, right?
Or 7 words a lot, too.
Okay.
Abe killed it in this song as usual. I just keep saying it, too. Like, he's just one dude you can't lose, man. It's just impossible to lose him. And this song will show you why.
So you really think this is the best song on the album, Tim?
I think it's the best song.
This is your call? Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what do you think my best song pick is?
Is it 7 words?
No, surprisingly not.
Oh, okay.
All right, we'll get to that one. It's going to surprise you.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've got Nosebleed. Then we go into Lifter.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it starts out with that methodic. I find that methodical riffing and guitar. I think that Chi's bass is very prevalent in this song. It sticks out to me.
Yes.
I love the chorus on this, right? This is a chorus meant to be played live. Now, I think this is one of the stronger songs on the album. And if I remember the A-side, B-side, A-side ends with Lifter, I think.
Yep.
And then the second half, side B, that's where I think they really come into their own in the second half, which is funny because most bands, they try to get their best songs out like the first 5 or 6. I actually think the Deftones buried their best songs on the second half of the album.
Well, they want you to keep listening.
Yeah, well, that's one way to do it, right?
This is another one of my favorite songs on the record. The musicianship is top notch in this one. This is a standout track for guitar playing on this record. It's a mood song for me, though. So, I mean, it's one you won't listen to all the time, but It's still one of my favorites on the record, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. This 1 week are typically the songs that I would fast forward. Yeah. Not that they're bad songs, they're just they didn't jump out enough at me.
They're what I'd rather hear other songs, but it's still one of the best songs on the record. Right, and people are going to be like, that makes no sense, but it does.
Right. So we finish up with Lifter, and then we move on to side B. So now we have Root, 3 minutes and 40 seconds. This is the best song on the album. That's my call.
Okay.
I love the hopscotch opening riff, right, which is then mirrored not only in the guitar but also the bass. You have the drum filling in behind. This covers all the Deftones basses and all the tags that are theirs, the weird atmospherics, the Stefan riffing, the prominent bass, Abe filling in Chino's highs and lows, the cat vocal. That where he goes from the cat strangle noise to that held long high note, that to me is a high point in the album, right? That shows that he really can. This shit that is coming out of his vocal cords is legit.
Oh, yeah.
Because he hits that, like it's, I just fucking blew somebody's ears out. I'm sorry for whoever I did that to. But he hits the note and he holds it, which is complete. If you compare it to Korn, compare it to Limp Bizkit, right? It is completely unique. To me, this is one of probably this is my top song on the album. Another song later is going to be it just missed out by a hair of what I think is the best on the album.
It's gonna be funny when I read these notes. This was my favorite song back in the day, so I know why you like this song the most. It's still close to being the best for me. Like you said, the intro is great. The bass lines are really fucking good in this song. This is another one of them new metal songs on the record, though, and especially in the chorus because I have no clue what the hell he's saying in there. The bridge part is an absolute banger, but the outro guitar stuff rules, and like you said, I love that part. That part is so fucking good, man. I love the part. And don't get me to do it in the mic because I'll definitely blow out someone's ear.
Somebody's gonna report us for like indecency to like the FCC for like this guy just blew my fucking headphones out. But yeah, and this starts side B, and this is what I think is one of the stronger, if not the strongest song on the album. So we come out of Root into 3 minutes and 43 seconds, 7 words. Tim,
Yep.
what is the bigger Deftones song? This or Engine Number 9?
This one.
You think?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. It's because of the lyrics in it. Well, you know what? Am I mixing it up with something else here? And I don't think I am. And let's just read it here. Hold on. Like I said in here, it's probably one of their biggest songs. I mean, Bored. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here it is. I just read past it. This is one of the biggest songs because live people get to yell "suck" a million times because it always gets that reaction. So I always feel like this is their biggest song. Mm-hmm. Because when you see this song live, people are going crazy to that "suck, suck, suck" part.
Yeah.
And I always thought he said "big fucking dick" after that, but he doesn't. I just forget what he says. I should look in the book.
Here's the brilliance of Chino's fucking vocals. You don't know what the hell he's saying. You're just projecting onto it. I swear that when they play this live, when they hit that breakdown, he actually covered a hip hop song, much like how Korn, when they do Ball Tongue, will go into La Di Da Di. I know that Deftones have covered something in hip hop, but I can't remember what it was. I'm going to dig through all my bootlegs and find it. But this is one of their strongest songs.
Yes.
It's like you said, the suck chorus. Everybody in the arena is fucking screaming it. It just hits on all the right places.
And then in the chorus part, the suck part, Cheese bass line is one of the best on the record. It's doom 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 doom. You know, if you listen to it again, such a strong bass player, man. So I hope that he wrote that himself because it just makes the song so much better.
It does.
And what's his name cannot hit that live good at all. I'm sorry, Serge
Gino?
cannot. No, Serge.
Oh no.
He can't hit that bass line that good, man. No, don't get me wrong. He's a great bass player. He just can't hit it.
He's not. Not everybody play everybody else's stuff, right? It doesn't work.
And Chino cannot scream this live anymore. I've seen him recently. He's shot. He's shot, man.
Which is a shame because you can't ever go back. You can't ever go home again. I get it. That's one of the reasons why I love brutal death metal. Is the guy John Gallagher from Dying Fetus is always going to be able to do those vocals because he's really just growling into the microphone.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be 90 and doing that in the fucking.
How much better did that band get when the bass player started screaming too?
Oh, the last couple albums have just been fucking fire.
My god, man!
Fire.
Some of the hardest mosh parts, man.
That last album, Wrong One to Fuck With, is fucking great. It really is great, and it's long. It's like 13 songs, which is a long brutal death metal album.
And I know you say that about Zabalba's new record, like how it's too heavy. The new Fetus record, it's so fucking heavy. Like you gotta bow to that shit.
It's almost like ridiculous, right?
It's like so heavy.
It should be illegal. So back to the Deftones. So we've started side B, right? We have Root, we have 7 words, and then we have Birthmark. So this has that weird atonal guitar intro, right? With Stefan just picking the strings.
Love it.
Chino hits a couple of long high notes more frequently than he does in Root, but Root is the first one that jumped out at me. And then you have that second half of the song where they play in almost a double time, where it gets fairly aggressive, which is not something they've demonstrated yet in any of the previous songs.
That's where this song shines, is at the end, because I have that written down. It's probably the heaviest song on the record, would you say? I mean, maybe Engine Number 9 is, but this song is really fucking heavy, dude. I mean, it gets real hype in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But again, Tim,
I got to listen back now again and see if this is the hypest one on there.
Why is the second half of this album such a fucking monster? Because the first half is great. Let's be honest, the first half is great. In the second half, they're kind of like, you know what? You've just stuck around this long. We're going to fucking kick it in a high gear. Yeah. And they just go bananas.
I wonder how many people you could ask that to would agree with that. Probably a lot, actually.
I don't know. Email us at newbreedpodcast@gmail.com if you have thoughts.
Perfect plug right there. There you go, man. That's how you fucking podcast right there, dude.
But it's true, though. I mean, and think about how many times where you've listened to an album and you only get through the first half and you stop.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I will tell you, I'm the worst with hitting the last song on an album. And yet this year, the newest Rotting Out album, Ronin, and the new 156 Silence album. The last tracks are some of the strongest tracks on those albums. Typically, I'm the guy who like, fuck it, I'll just turn it on something else. But when you get through it, they really are good.
I was going to tell you that on break about. Well, we'll talk about that 156 on break because I was just going to say that.
Okay,
that's
perfect.
funny you say that, man. In Birthmark though, yeah, like I said, I guess it might be one of the heaviest. It's also one of the weakest, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. It's got a really heavy chorus though, but let's get into engine number 9 because
so this song, track 9, I don't even think we need to say much about it aside from the fact that it's the GOAT for them. Right, this is probably their most well-known song off the first album, aside from "Bored," because
live
of tone. It is a live staple. Everybody loses their fucking mind.
Yep, some of the best riffing on the record. Just an all-around great song. Cheese also the master of the backing vocals in this. A lot of rapping vocals in this from Chino. The break part in this track is hard as fucking nails, man.
Oh, absolutely.
So
yeah.
See, people are like, "Oh, what do you mean break, dude?" There's a break. See, bands were doing breakdowns before
they
all
were
the
called
shit.
breakdowns.
Yes.
Right?
Listen to Sepultura in their heyday, man. They had some of the hardest mosh parts.
I will say, Tim, 3 of the best breakdowns ever recorded. Put me on record, and if you don't like it, fucking at me so I can tell you to shit up your own ass. 3 of the best breakdowns ever recorded is Domination by Pantera.
Fuck yeah.
Inarguable. Dead Embryonic Cells.
Oh my God, yes.
And Raining Blood by Slayer, where he goes tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Dude,
and these are thrash metal bands, right? Doing breakdowns before breakdowns were a thing. Another thing about Dead Embryonic Cells, and this is where, while I love guys like Adam Jarvis, and I love guys like John Longstreth, you actually hear Igor speed up and slow down. It's not perfect. And the fact that his drumming is not perfect makes it a better listen because it comes off as more organic. It's a human playing that shit as opposed to a machine. Now, God bless Adam Jarvis, John Longstreth, Baisley from Dying Fetus, all those guys who are like human metronomes. God bless them. But there is something lost in the perfection.
Yeah.
As we get deep here, a couple beers in. So
no, but I'm going to say this right here. The hardest break of all time is Propaganda by Sepultura.
Yeah.
That is the hardest fucking song. I don't care what anyone says.
It's amazing how influential Sepultura was, and I don't think people realize that. You ask kids nowadays about Sepultura, they're like the band with the Derek Green.
Yeah. No.
I don't know.
No.
The Attitude album was not Attitude. It must have been Attitude. That album wasn't bad. Nation wasn't bad either. But we're getting off topic. So we're hitting second half. Now we come to track 10, which is For Real.
Yeah.
6 minutes, 34 seconds. This to me is, I fought back and forth between this and Root as what is the best song on the album. I think this song covers all the Deftones staples. I think this song, it's one of the longest. It's 6 minutes and 34 seconds. At the 3 minute and 4 second mark, they go into a completely different song. This is almost 2 different songs, and I fucking love it.
Yes,
I actually listened to the song
a
couple times today. That how it's the same song, but it goes different. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I have to say, it's funny you say that. We think the same shit all the time. I have the same exact thing written down. I love them shrieking vocals he does in it closing the track. It's so fucking good. It's probably the slowest song on the record, but it has this like, what is that saying? Like existential. Is that how you say that word? I'm the worst at pronouncing words.
Well,
like
you're
that.
also a bunch of beers drunk, Tim. So
yeah, it's got like that dread in it, man.
Existential dread.
Yes, it's got that dread in it, and I fucking love song. This is why I love the Deftones, because they give me this awkward, eerie feeling, man. And this song does that for you. If you go back and listen to it, it just has that dread feeling in it.
I would tell everybody, if you're going to go back and listen to this album, start with the second half. Start with Root and then go back through to Bored. Because Bored, you've obviously heard.
Now, picture Saturday Night Wrist and this song, and you get what I'm saying. You know how Saturday Night Wrist just had that on the edge feeling all the time?
Dude, I love that opening track off Saturday Night Wrist. Hole in the Earth.
Hole in the Earth, yeah.
When he goes, woo! I lost my mind. I'm like, this is fucking great.
But you get what I'm saying, though? But the dread feeling in this, and Self-Titled does it perfectly, too. Them 2 records, man, there was something going on in that band that was not good, but it came out perfect on record.
So I'm going to give you a hot take here, Tim, and it's not about the Deftones.
Yeah.
It's about every band in general. I think if you put out a self-titled album and it's not your first album, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
I think to me, you know what that says to me as a fan? That says to me that, yeah, Tim, we have enough songs written that we want to put out an album, but we're not there wasn't enough inventiveness for us to actually come up with a title, so we're just going to say self-titled. And every band says the same thing when their self-titled album is not their first album. We just feel that this represents perfectly what we are as a band. Yeah. Unless it's going to be your last fucking album. Everybody who's listening, don't make a fucking self-titled album that's not your first. It's lame. It's bullshit. But the Deftones self-titled album opens with Hexagram, right? Brilliant song.
Yeah.
Brilliant song.
Brilliant record.
And who else has done a self-titled that wasn't their first?
Killswitch Engage did it twice.
Which is fucking bonkers.
They have 2 self-titled records.
The first one is way better than the second.
Oh my god, it shits all over the second one.
Born did it. Darkest Hour did it, but I would say that their self-titled had some really good song on it. I think Demons was on that, and a couple other songs that were really good.
Such a great band.
But most times when I see a self-titled, I'm like, really? Like, you cared enough to release a new album, but not enough to give it a unique title, whatever. So now let's take it home, Tim. So the hidden track. So if the album ends on For Real, we're good. They throw in the hidden track. The song is Fist, 3 minutes and 36 seconds. Ross Robinson, not Terry Date, produces this.
Yes.
What do you think?
All right, now this is where I was going to do my hot take. This song is what the Deftones are today. Something was different about this song. If you listen to it again, this is Deftones present right here. This is a song that they had written that they did that didn't fit this record, and this is why it's hidden. Because it didn't fit this record, and this is what they eventually went on to sound like. I don't care what anyone says. You can fucking at me, and whatever Jay said earlier, I'll say the same thing. This is Deftones right here in the purest form. This is what they really wanted to sound like, and this is why this song is hidden, and this is why Ross did this song and not Terry.
So comparatively, I did not like this song. It sounds completely different than everything else that's on the album. The guitar tone sounds completely different.
There you go.
The drums sound completely different. Just the way they're mic'd, right? Abe's talent notwithstanding. I didn't think in that term, but now I think about some of the Doomed User and some of the newer stuff, and I think you're right. I think this is them at an almost an almost embryonic level.
This is a futuristic
signaling where they're going to go.
Yeah, it is. This song's not even listed in the liner notes. It's not listed on the CD. It's not listed anywhere. So it's kind of just a song that they had. Maybe they were going to go with Ross at first, and he recorded this song, and I don't know. I would love to know. My bucket list is to get someone from the Deftones on to talk about all this shit, and maybe we're going to make that happen. We're going to try. I know.
Hey, they're sitting at home. Let's ping Chino right now. Be like, hey, what are you doing, Chino? You want to hop on?
Dude, I'd lose my goddamn mind.
You'd be sitting there with your mouth open. I'd have to run the whole interview like, Chino, are you there? Okay,
great. I'd have a ring pop in my mouth.
Do you have Zoom installed on your cell phone? Great. Here's a link. Hop on this call.
Yeah, there you go, man.
So all things considered, when I first listened to this album back in the 90s, it was totally unique, and it blew my mind because it was, again, we talked about how in new metal anything goes, and this was a band that truly seized that. Listening to it 20 years later, like I said, the first time I listened to it, I didn't like it. The more I listened to it, the more I appreciated it, and then I started finding that I think the second half is better than the first half. This truly does have all the genetic makeup of what the Deftones will inevitably become with albums like Around the Fur, The White Pony, Saturday Night Risk, Cornucopia, and all that stuff. This plants all those seeds. Yes. And one of the other things I have here, Tim, which I didn't talk about earlier, is Frank Delgado's not in the band yet. So they don't have someone doing the soundscapes or whatnot. However, you can hear that stuff in all the songs. Some of the layered vocals, some of the layered effects that Stefan has. You could see where going forward they'd say, hey, it makes sense to have the fifth guy in here because he can add a different layer to what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you noticed some of that because, It's just, you have to, like, people listening, go back and listen to this song and you'll see what I'm saying. And you'll say, oh, you know what? Tim was right, man. Because then if you go to White Pony, it's like, wait a minute. That Fist track would kind of be something that would be on here as a B-side. So it's kind of like.
That's definitely a Koino Yokan song. Yeah.
It's definitely is. It's another song with that dread thing in it.
Yep.
It just keeps you like, wow, man, this song is really fucking like crazy. Like it's a song that they writ when it was like real dark and just like 4 a.m. in the studio and everyone's fucking hammered or on meth or whatever the hell they were doing back then. You know what I mean? It's a perfect closer. It's good riffing. I love it, man. I'm just happy Ross didn't do the whole record.
Yeah, totally different experience, which we're going to talk about in our next episode. So any final thoughts, Tim, before I wrap us up?
One of the best debuts ever. Go back and listen to it. Get your mind blowing and realize that Deftones is the best band ever. Go ahead and do it. Real quick, though, we had certified gold in United Kingdom, platinum United States eventually. Number 23 on the top Heat Seekers chart. In 2000, it was listed as the 46th best album of all time. 2 singles from the record, 7 Words, December 17th, 95. Bored, April 4th, 96. So 7 Words was actually the first single, which I found really weird. I thought it would be Bored. So there you go.
Yeah, very odd.
Very, very odd. So
final thoughts, I would agree with Tim. Go back and listen to this album. You're going to pick up things that you didn't pick up the first time, and if you're that old, if you're young, you may listen to some of the newer bands, which I know Tim and I have an album coming up talking about new metal bands nowadays that have that new metal sound. So go back and take a listen, and you might actually find some things that are influences on the things you like now. So I'm not going to give you all the details. We have all of our Linktree stuff is out there. We have an Instagram. We have a Twitter. We have a Facebook group, which is starting to get more and more lively. You can find Tim and I both on Twitter. If you like what we have to say, if you don't like what we have to say, if you think our opinions are great, if you think our opinions are fucking laughable, email us. newbreedpodcast@gmail.com. Maybe we'll even have you on and we can have a live debate. I'm pretty sure that'd be pretty fun. I would love to tell someone to shit up their own ass in real time. And once again, on behalf of Tim and myself, I want to thank all of you for listening, tuning in again for another episode. And we hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.
Later. Crazy fun episode, man. Thank you.